Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we are going to talk about Ezra Miller's Flash 2023, the brand new DC Cinematic Universe movie. I had decided not to see this for reasons, and I have swiftly learned. So this movie, its reviewed embargo broke, and everybody on their sun is reviewing this movie. And what I've learned is that my objections to seeing this movie are not shared by anybody on the planet. Absolutely no one cares about what Ezra Miller did. Nobody cares about the meta of this film. Americans do not care about justice. Americans do not care about equality. Americans care about art, right? So if I were to make a stand, it'd be like just, I don't think it'd even be noticed, right? So I had given a lot of thought to this, to trying to make a stand on this. This conversation's been had, and America has decided that nothing Ezra Miller did matters, right? And that this movie is going to be viewed and enjoyed, period, end of sentence, right? The American people have spoken, right? Okay. All right, so let's talk about Ezra Miller. So first of all, Ezra Miller's Flash, right? So this is the DC cinematic movie, the last movie created by Walter Hamada, before he left the studio, and this movie stars Ezra Miller as the primary star. By the way, Ezra Miller's pronouns are they. I find it incredibly confusing to speak about one person as a group, so I'm going to try as best as I can possibly do to say Ezra Miller every time I refer to Ezra Miller. But if I refer to him as in any wrong pronoun, my deepest apologies. I am trying to refer to him as his name and as his name only. Okay, let's move forward. All right, and there's no insult intended. It's simply for clarity. Okay, all right, and I do not intend to misgender him in any way. I simply am going to refer to him as his name, so there's clarity. Okay, as their name. As I'm going to refer to Ezra Miller as Ezra Miller. Yeah, there we go. Okay. No intention to misgender Ezra Miller in any way. Apologies if I do. All right, here we go. Okay. So Ezra Miller is in this movie like twice. They literally clone him, and he literally, jeez, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I give up. All right, they talk to themselves. Oh my gosh, they talk to themselves. Oh, that's about as clear as mud. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I'll just use the pronoun. We'll try it that way. All right. Wow. Okay. Ezra Miller talks to Ezra Miller in this movie constantly. They talk to themselves. Oh boy, that's so unclear. And it, and we move forward, right? So what's important about this film? The question is it Dungeons & Dragons? Is Ezra Miller's 2023 DC Cinematic Universe, The Flash, which is essentially a retelling of the Flashpoint story, is it Dungeons & Dragons? Oh yeah, it is Dungeons & Dragons to the core. This gumbo is made with Dungeons & Dragons ingredients. So first of all, who wrote it? Daly and Goldstein, baby! Woohoo! Those be the exact dudes who directed Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. So the humor of this is coming straight from Dungeons & Dragons writers. The awesomeness of the story itself is coming straight from Dungeons & Dragons writers. There are other writers credited on this film. Grace Randolph said that she thinks the writers who are credited for writing this movie are actually not the writer's films, are actually not the film's writer. Very interesting, but there's no question. Story credits go to Daly and Goldstein. So I think the heart of this movie is 100% Dungeons & Dragons. Literally, the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves directors, they're at the heart of this film. And everything that's good in Ezra Miller's Flash 2023 DC Cinematic movie Flash, which is a retelling of Flashpoint, everything that's good in it comes straight from its strong, super clear connections to Dungeons & Dragons, which are Daly and Goldstein, the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves directors, right? And it's why, and it's getting good reviews. People are saying this is good, it's funny, and it has a good story, which is exactly what happened with Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. It's exactly what everybody said. It's funny and it has a good story, right? And it has great action, and it mixes action and humor together, which is exactly what everybody said about Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Because when you hire Daly and Goldstein, you get Dungeons and Dragons. You get humor and you get action, right? Because they are D&D to the bone, right? In addition, this is a DC cinematic movie. DC is a Lego canon world. Dungeons and Dragons is a Lego canon world through Lego Dragon's Keep, Journey's End, which is right now approved by Hasbro, approved by Lego, and is working its way straight to production through through Lego Ideas backlog canon. Right, very exciting. Right, so the Flash movie is connected by Lego, is connects itself to Dungeons and Dragons through Lego, and then last, the Flash movie is it represents a gleaming hope of getting Andy Muschietti, the director for the Flash, as the director for Dungeons and Dragons sequel 2, right? Dungeons and Dragons sequel 1. So Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves sequel can get Andy Muschietti as a director, and here's how. Sophia Lillis made Andy Muschietti famous through the two-part made her famous. Sophia Lillis made Andy Muschietti famous through her fantastic portrayal of one of the children in the two-part It movie, which is the greatest film adaptation of any Stranger Things film, of any Stephen King film ever, right? And so Sophia Lillis had a tremendous experience on, and has spoken very highly of her experience on Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, right? And she can simply call, and so she has Andy Muschietti's number. She has a personal relationship with him. She worked for him for about 2 or 3 years, and she can give him a call and say, hey, I had a great time on the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie. I would love to get a second edition of this for my, to put into my portfolio so that I have a trilogy within my portfolio. You just finished up Flash, drop on over, let's get this done, right? And you're like, oh, Scott, that is how Hollywood works. It is relationships, right? I watched The Offer, which explained how Al Pacino became one of the Corleones, right? And these people, a lot of people are like, say, oh, Hollywood's about the money. They're about the art. They're just like Americans. They're about the art, right? And so the reality is Sophia Lillis can pick up the phone, and there's a chance that Andy Muschietti could be the next director for the next Dungeons & Dragons sequel. And the two of them together can go, can go and say, she can say, hey, I have Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which isn't the greatest blockbuster ever, but it is the greatest tabletop role-playing game blockbuster ever, and it is the greatest adaptation of Stranger Things. And Andy Muschietti can say, hey, I just did The Flash, and the two of them can walk into billionaires' offices to get the $250,000 needed to make the next film. That's real. That is a roll of the dice where if we get the natural 20, we get the sequel. The 2023 Flash, Ezra Miller's 2023 Flash DC cinematic film is chock full of Dungeons & Dragons. It is made of Dungeons & Dragons, in my humble opinion. What's important is every word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. So sorry that I got the pronouns wrong at the beginning. Ezra Miller, they. Sorry that I misgendered Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller's correct pronouns are they, right? And I would, despite any lack of clarity, I will try to get that right going forward. Thank you for your patience with that. Apologies to Ezra Miller and apologies to you. I'll try to get the pronouns right. Please consider liking and subscribing and have a wonderful millennium.